Pada hari pemain nombor 10 yang telah menjaringkan gol setelah berlaku pergelutan.
Malaysian Football Weekly kicks off right now on AllSportsAsia.
And we're back with MFW 13 after a short break. It is our season wrap, and we're going to talk about the MSL, we're going to talk about the Malaysia Cup, and preview the AFF Suzuki Cup for you. I'm Ross, of course, and with me today we've got renowned commentator Dez Corkhill. I was going to... What else apart from renowned commentator? Football critic, sepak takraw commentator.
A little bit of badminton, Purple League coming on, but fundamentally a passionate advocate of domestic local sport, not only in Malaysia but in Singapore, and the importance that it brings and the importance that we treat with respect and make heroes out of local players. That's what I'm all about.
We're lending some class to the show today. And to balance it out, we've got Nicolas Anil from ESPN FC as well. Hello, Nick.
Hi.
Do follow us on Facebook. It's Malaysian Football Weekly and AllSportsAsia. Also, do check out the website www.allsports.net. We are also found on Twitter at AllSportsAsia. Right, we begin with the MSL then. JDT retained the title. Oh, what style they did it in. Third consecutive season. Unbeaten, invincible JDT.
Apart from all the acronyms, which get my goat in this part of the world, but the Malaysia Super League this year was pretty good. I mean, Johor Darul Taksim were the outstanding team, but a shout out also for Kedah. I think they developed a group of young players. They've got my favourite import in Liridan Krishnacci, who brings football to an art form to me. And also a shout out to Felda United and Irfan Bakhti and the job he's done with the old gnarly veterans. Shukor is still going strong, and Francis Forking-Toe still scoring goals.
Yep.
So yeah, Johor Darul Taksim are the story, but it wasn't just a one-team league, even though the point suggest it was.
Okay. Just concentrating a little bit on JDT. I mean, they won their title, their third consecutive title, beating Terengganu on match day 20. How are they staying streets ahead of everybody else, Nick? Why are they so far ahead of everyone else?
I think one of the main reasons is because they've had this togetherness since 2014. They have reshuffled their squad every season, but the core of the team has been there.
They're signing longer contracts.
And the local players have seemed to gel with the foreigners, so well, and they have maintained that same consistency week in, week out in all four competitions. Maybe the Malaysia Cup was an exception because they did not want to focus too much on it, but in the league and the AFC Cup and the FA Cup, they were just trumps ahead of the other teams.
Just to pick up on something Nick said there, I don't think it's the locals gelling with the foreigners. I think it's the foreigners gelling with the locals, and that's so all important because so many foreign players come here with a great reputation and they don't buy into what's going on. Johor have got the best local players, undoubtedly. They've gone out and recruited them left, right and centre, but they're foreign players.
Pretty useful as well.
Harris is very good. Lucero works his socks off. Diaz is a pest and arguably player of the season, and at the back Marcus Antonio is a pillar of strength, and he makes Adil or Fadli, when Fadli plays, a better player when they play alongside him.
So we saw Felda push JDT quite close at one stage, but in the end fell away. Is that the closest challenges? Is it because Felda are as well run and with the same facilities and...
the facilities have been there since last season. They moved to a new stadium. I think that has contributed largely to their improvement, but it's also the togetherness of the team. Irfan did not have a big squad to play with. He had a bunch of 18 to 19 players which he rotated accordingly, and they all perform for him equally. And this is a Felda side which has equal quality in their locals as well as the foreigners. No doubt Fokido got the chunk of the goals, but he had ample of support from Hardin, from Christy, Shamim.
When we say facilities for Felda, the football stadium is great. It's a football stadium. You go there and you're close to the pitch and the action. You can hear it. The rest of their facilities, I don't think they're even close to Johor Darul.
The indoor training centre.
The behind-the-scenes stuff that Johor are doing and the investment they are making, looking after players' welfare, looking after personnel, making sure that the training staff have got all the equipment. That is second to none, and that's where we really want to go. And Felda have got the kind of money to do that. I still don't know who Felder rely upon for their support. I don't know where they are going to get a fan base to make them a proper club. Johor we know, because there's passion there. Felder, it was a great... I'm a big fan of Irfan Bakhti. He's one of these arm round the shoulder fellas. Shuko, you're my leader on the pitch. Go and lead. And Shuko, year after year,
exactly.
after year, does it. He's
Turning
still,
back the clocks.
Still, for me, the best centre-back in Malaysia. He hasn't got the pace, but you put him in a back three, and I think this fella could still be playing international football.
He was a wanted man for the national team as well. I heard for the AFF.
Really?
But he's not allowed to. I've had goss from the last time that one of Dollar's problems was that he wasn't allowed to pick the likes of Syukur Adan. He was told, you've got to go young. He went young, and you look at the results, was the 10-0s and the 6-0s.
Yep.
That wasn't the only thing, but it was a significant factor.
Okay. Well, Felder United find themselves in the qualification round of the AFC Cup playoffs for next year, which is great. Hopefully JDT will have another good run. PDRM and Terengganu are relegated to the Premier League. Terengganu bottom, rightly so.
We've still got 2 years to find this out, don't we? don't we wait and see, and then decide the league table in a couple of years?
So they might not be. So PDRM, if you're aware of the news, they lodged a report against JDT, hoping to take points away from JDT, which would have saved PDRM. But as it happens, it was turned down by the FAM.
No. PDRM withdrew the report.
Okay.
It's a big difference. So PDRM, for some obscure reason, withdrew the report, whereas Pahang got 3 points awarded, having not made a report. It's very interesting. These are the things that they eat at the credibility of Malaysian football, and ever since Astro Arena got involved, the reason I came up to Malaysia, I love Malaysian football. I think it's wonderful, it's passionate, it matters, but there's a lack of credibility. It's unbelievable. Sponsors don't get on board if something is unbelievable. Pahangs escaped the week before the last set of matches.
It's not a level playing field at all, and if you look at Pahang, there's a lot of interest towards Pahang, which may be one of the reasons.
Well, I don't know, and I don't want to speculate. I'm just looking as an outside observer saying, come on.
Does this happen in the ASEAN leagues, in the S League?
Thailand it does. Singapore, there is no relegation, so Singapore has its own unique problems. But Thailand, this regularly happens, and for all the good stuff that we hear about Thailand, all the superlatives we can throw at them, it's straightforward credibility. Somebody like me, from an outside point of view, comes in and goes,
that's not right.
That's not right.
Yeah.
You're wondering why did PDRM put forward the protest in the first place when they were going to retract the protest just hours before? We don't know if there was influence from other...
Yeah, well, that's a whole different show, that one.
And if you put it into perspective, perhaps PDRM staying in the league ahead of Penang next season wouldn't have been the best choice because they are club side. But you have to go by the rules. By the rules, if really JDT did feel an ineligible player, they should be invested.
But the rules, my understanding was the rules, you got 72 hours
Yeah.
that appeal, which is reasonable.
Yep.
And there we come back to the Pahang thing, because again, I don't know the actual ins and outs because it's not released to us. It's all hearsay. But my understanding was that the Pahang thing was not within 72 hours.
No.
It certainly goes against the spirit.
Both games took place in August.
Yeah.
Decision was only made in October.
The problem is, we went into that last match of fixtures, 5 teams could still go down. This was spine-tingling stuff.
Exactly.
Penang versus Terengganu, wow, fabulous. And then suddenly, something else comes into play, and you're taking the attention away from the football. That's what does me, because there's so many good things to talk about the football, but so often we get something that just makes you go, come on, guys.
So the Pahang getting the free 3 points kind of overshadowed the relegation.
Absolutely.
And then it was an intense relegation battle. Penang played the game of their lives. Got past Terengganu. It was a full house. Everyone packed in.
It was great, wasn't it? It was great.
Absolutely magnificent atmosphere. And then a week later, we have this, which overshadowed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to happier things. And Malaysia Cup 2016, won by Kedah, the 90th edition this year. It is the oldest tournament in Malaysia, definitely. Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia, 1921. Yeah. Goes back to India. Sorry, India's got the Duran Cup, which goes back even further, but this isn't bad.
Well, Rizal Ghazali turned hero for Kedah. It was a rain-soaked final. You guys were there. Atmosphere was electric. Sellout crowd.
Yeah, stadium was pumping as early as 3 o'clock. Kedah fans had already.
I saw your tweet.
They were camping outside the stadium even the night before, and this is the kind of atmosphere we thrive on. Hopefully week in, week out. Kedah have always had that solid fan base throughout the season, and their fans came on in droves, and Selangor fans came just because they made the final. But it made up for immaculate atmosphere, and even though I felt that the final could have been better, overall atmosphere with the rain supporting it, and it going all the way to penalties, it was a great night overall, and deserved winners to Kedah.
There's a blog by a friend of mine called Andy Penders where he's got a drone.
I was going to mention the
red card. It's a very, very good vlog actually. It showed the atmosphere beautifully. It showed the colour, the vibrancy, the noise, the passion. Frustrating for me that Selangor fans turn up for the final and didn't turn up for the Selangor derby against PKNS in the quarterfinals.
That's a big problem, isn't it? 79,000 can pack out a final, and Selangor play there regularly.
But then again, PKNS, love them to bits, but there's no way they should be a club of that. They don't have their own stadium. They don't have a fan base. Now you can say yes, they're a well-run club, but they're an affiliate of Selangor. It's one of those things again where it's a lovely story, and they did brilliantly to make the FA Cup final. They've got promotion, and they've got good, honest players, and behind the scenes good people, but it's the wrong reason to have a club because they're not independent. And PKNS it's a state development corporation. A proper league doesn't have state development corporations in their top flight. And
even then, in that game, PKNS almost matched the Selangor fan base.
Indeed. Yeah.
So that goes back to Selangor and shows how deep of a mess they are in. Not only this season but also last season. The fans are just not coming to the stadium because of all the politics and all the infighting that has been going on.
Okay, well, take nothing away from Kedah. It avenged their 2-0 loss to the Red Giants last year, and Nicolas Anil caught up with Kedah's Kiwi goal machine, Shane Smeltz, after the game.
Yes. Now at least we won. Nobody cares, but I can smile about it now. But I've scored a couple of these before in big games, and nobody expects me to do this first time. But I didn't hit perfect. And maybe tired, pitch, whatever. But I didn't hit perfect, and so thankfully we got the ball again. I knew what was going on. I don't know what the boys were thinking. Too early. I said, we need to do another one. But luckily we come back to it. The future is right now is to enjoy it tonight. Relax. I'm very tired as well, but I don't know. I need to sit down and see what I'll do about it. I've fallen in love with Malaysia. My time here, football-wise, I've enjoyed immensely, and for sure I want to Yeah, look, it's something we need to discuss, see what their plans are on one hand, but for sure, as I say, I've fallen in love with the club, with the fans, and to achieve what we have in such a short space of time that I've been here is remarkable. All right. Thank you.
He's been great value, Shane Smeltz, this season.
Well, he has, but he came mid-season where he replaced Kaha, and the results improved almost instantaneously. And that goal he scored, I think it was Kelantan, the volley was contender for goal of the season. But it's not just about Smeltz. It's about Ifwat. They've got a 19-year-old kid in goal who's part of the President's Cup team here, and he's playing ahead of Farhan Abu Bakar and Abdul Hadi, two experienced goalkeepers. It's about Amrul Hisham getting the nod in the heart of midfield against Amar Rohidan. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes at Kedah. I've got a pal up there called Ian Gillan at the under-21s who's been saying, you just watch what's going on this year. And they introduce young players. Just about everybody has been through the under-21s, apart from Azmir, who they brought back last year. Everyone has gone through the development, and there's been something good going on in Kedah for the last 4 seasons, and this is the end result.
So this is what Tan Cheng Ho is doing well. He's infusing youth, the younger players, giving them you can actually see your path. You know, if you're a young player working, and you must work double hard that way.
They're systematically coming through the ranks. You can see that the local players are not shied by the quality of the foreign talents. You know, we have got so many Kedah players who are not only in the senior lineup but also in the under-2. What is one of them, Shafiq Ahmad, another solid performer with Farhan Roslan as well. And why Tan Cheng Ho has thrived so much in that part of the state is because he has had the free hand, the free reins to run the club very well without interference from the management, and that is crucial because a lot of other clubs have a lot of interference which jeopardizes their planning and their structure and their formation and also the selection of the players.
And we need to see if that interference comes in next year, because the budgets haven't been decided for next year. Again, just to build on Nick's point, the under 21s, I've got this mate Ian Gillan, and they've sent 9 players away to either Perth Glory or Cardiff City. 2 of them played in the final. Osman Yusof was one. He's a kid, I'd never heard of him, and he comes through. He plays with maturity. So it's not just a case of Cheng Ho's got the freedom to play these kids. The kids are good enough because they've been schooled in the right way. They've been sent
and that's massive
to training areas.
They've also signed a partnership with NFDP, so there's more youth talents coming through the ranks.
But they've got to be looked after right. This is the point. It's not just a case of bring the youth on. You've got to have a good coaching system of well-educated coaches. That's first and foremost, support for them, and then if the young talent is there, they can flower. But the system is so important.
So why aren't we hearing the name Tan Cheng Ho bandied about when the national vacancy comes about?
Well, he was a former assistant to Rajagopal. Totally contrasting style. No one even knew that Cheng Ho was assistant because he was so shy. And he was always so,
But he's his own man now. He's very much,
Yes, he's just come through to form, and I think one of the main reasons is because he had completed his FIFA.
He went to the
and I spoke to him about it, and he said there's a lot of changes which he made after taking that course. He developed more ground playing football style, and you can see that really rubbed off on the team. They do not hoof the ball up for no reason.
And let's not rush him into the national team, John, please. No. That strong league will beget a strong national team, not the other way round. And you want the likes of Tan Cheng Ho, who's one of football's good guys. You want him in the league because he will bring the credibility that I was talking about. He will try to make sure that young players come through and are trained in the right way. The way he addresses the press is really good. The way he looks on screen is terrific.
Absolutely.
He's got a very good image, and this hasn't just happened.
No.
This has been something that he's been working on over the years. It takes a lot of commitment to do these courses, and Kedah, they had the support. I just hope the support continues. You look at JDT, support from the top. You look at Felder, Irfan was allowed to do his thing. You look at Kedah, he was allowed to do his thing. You look at
Selangor
Team, you compare that. Compare Kelantan, where despite what's gone on, they've somehow got through. Penang were a basket case and they grew. You look at Pahang, who were a basket case, then they get a good guy in who's allowed to do what he's allowed to do. They improve despite the last. It's all about let the football guys do the football.
Prime example, and Kedah have operated on such a menial budget if you compare to the likes of Pahang, JDT, even Penang. Both their foreigners were brought on loan midway through the season, and the rest were local players. He's just operated on such a tiny.
It's a proper fairy story in football. This Malaysia Cup win, brilliant stuff. Before we go to break, what now for Selangor? I mean, we talked about nobody there for their league games, and now there's a breakaway club. We understand the Selangor Antlers. They seem to be. I've heard a lot about them. They have a bit of backing as well.
Now they are playing in a social league, if I'm not mistaken, but they have a big support, and PKNS are back in the Super League as well, so they are going to pose competition to Selangor. Selangor at the moment look very directionless. They do not have the capacity within the Exco members who are not in sync with each other. The fans want privatization, but they're not getting it because these Exco members do not have the direction to bring in someone with a football mind and the resources to do so. So until they sort that out, the performance on the pitch is not going to improve.
And this is another it's very sad because Selangor are a massive name in Malaysian football.
When I came up here, occasionally I was based in Singapore, didn't know a lot about Malaysian football. Many people say that's still the case. When I came up, I came during the Bang Bang days.
Yeah.
2010.
My word, that was just spine-tingling stuff. Full houses. Yeah. This was for Premier League football.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the full season, but my eyes just went wide open. I'd heard about Shahlan. It was famous, and then you suddenly come there and it was terrific. So that's the potential of Selangor. By the way, they've got to become a privatised company by 2018. Yeah. Otherwise they won't get their licence for the Malaysia Super League, in theory.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we speak to a lot of the fans, and a lot of them are very vocal about how they oppose the management, and a lot of them are involved in the Selangor Antlers club and set up as well. Okay,
is this an FC United, AFC Liverpool kind of thing?
Certainly looks like it, doesn't it?
So in ideally then
Wimbledon.
Ideally there should be a pyramid where the Shah Alam Antlers, isn't it that they're called? The Shah Alam Antlers have to come through a pyramid where they win one level onto another, into the KLFA or into the Selangor FA, into the FAM. That pyramid doesn't exist. And that, to me, is one of the fundamental problems that we've got here, in that you don't know where you stand. There's loads of these social leagues going on, but where do they aim to? What are the players? What are the levels? Can you play in various social leagues? The answer is yes. I can play on a Wednesday, on a Sunday. Phew, that's not a great pyramid.
And if you're looking at Klang Valley, Selangor and KL have the most social leagues.
Yeah.
Mushroomed all over Klang Valley, but.
And yet I try to, honestly, I look far and wide. Where's a KLFA match going on? Or a KL State League match? Because I want to go and watch. When I first came up, I wanted to go and train with them. Nothing. Nothing. I've thrown that one out there many times over the last 6 years of being up here.
Well, now it's on film. We've got it on film, and we're going for a break. We're going to let Des have a drink of water. When we come back, we're going to be talking AFF Suzuki Cup. Stick with us.
This is MFW on AllSportsAsia.
And we're back with Dez Corkhill and Nicolas Anil. We're looking at the AFF Suzuki Cup. It starts on the 19th of November, and the good news is that FIFA has made this a Category A ranked tournament. So no more, as opposed to the previous 10 editions, they were just classified as friendlies. So now ranking points are involved, and that's great news, right?
Yeah, excellent news. Before this, there was ranking points offered, but only on the ASEAN stage, not anymore. AFF have gone to AFC, also got the 11 member associations of AFF to appeal, and as a result, we are going to be recognized on the FIFA stage, and it's wonderful for football in this region.
Yep.
There is so much of attention and support that goes into this tournament each time it's played. You know, in 2010 there were close to 200 million people which tuned in to watch the AFF Cup, and now that it's being played in Myanmar and Philippines, first time host, I think it's also going to build up interest in that particular countries as well. And we're definitely looking forward to a wonderful 11th edition.
And it's deserved, because the matches are incredibly well competed. I'm a very fortunate person.
It's at under 23 level, we should mention, right? Isn't?
No.
Senior
Suzuki Cup's
level.
full senior level.
Okay.
Under 23 level, of course it doesn't get ranking points, but this is the whole thing. One of the great joys of me living over in this part of the world is every 2 years I get to commentate on the Suzuki Cup, wearing a Fox Sports hat this time. I've got the games, I've got the Malaysia games. It's a thrill. Honestly, it's an honour, it's a thrill. The stadiums, it matters, because the stadiums are full when the home nations play, but you know you're being watched by millions of people. You know that this really matters. 2010 brought it home to me, the Malaysia-Indonesia final, where the country came to a standstill. But it's right that it is getting this kind of recognition, because these are really, really intense matches.
Okay, in Group A, you've got Philippines, host nation. They're going to open up against Singapore. Now, earlier this week, Singapore played a closed-doors friendly against Syria in Paroi. You were there, Nick.
Yeah.
How did that turn out?
They did not play well, Singapore. They were thoroughly outplayed by Syria.
But it's a different class of opponent.
Well, Syria, I would say, are not in the same level playing field as the rest of their Middle Eastern compatriots because they're slightly lower.
Yeah.
They do not have a venue where they can play in, so they have to rely on playing in neutral grounds. But in this case, they were just trumps better than Singapore in all departments.
They're a good team. Let's not forget they've just beaten China, which takes some doing. So it's so closed doors, by the way. I was locked out last night.
They saw you coming, Des.
I turned up a Paroy and I was on. I said, I'm here with the media. And they said, well, you're going to have to go home then. I don't know how you managed to wangle your way in. But anyway, for Singapore against the Philippines, which is what we're talking about. Philippines have been very clever. They've got a number of guys who are German-born, Swiss-born, Belgium-born. There's a lad called Stefan Schrock who we've seen who's going to come. Maniot, who's a hard-working German-born midfielder. To Filipino parents, so they're eligible to play for the Philippines. It's a little bit like Malaysia going down that route with one or two Aussie, the Brendan Gans and the Junior Elstals. They're going to be physically very strong. They've got 4 decent teams in their domestic league, and their domestic league is relatively strong just at that top level. Serres LaSalle made it to the last 16 of the AFC Cup. Philippines will be strong. Singapore's reaction, or Sundram Murder's reaction, has been very interesting. He said, listen, I was told to bring in young players, but they're only going to give me a caretaker coaching role for the next 12 months. So if I don't win, I'm out. So I'm going to bring in the players I want. He's brought back Daniel Bennett, Mustafik Faroudin, to compete physically with what
which is the right thing to do.
It's a very sensible thing to do, and I mean, it's not great that Sundram's only given that caretaker role where any foreign coach coming in would be given a full role. You either back him or you don't. Same with that on Kim Swee. You either back him or you don't. But that's going to be interesting. Don't lose the first game is Singapore's buzzword for that.
Absolutely. And Thailand's got to be raging favourites in Group A. They take on Indonesia. They've been keeping low profile. We haven't heard a lot about Thailand, but we know that they're a force still, right? Yeah,
they are the only Southeast Asian country to have qualified for the third round of the 2018 World Cup qualification.
Okay, they didn't do too well, but
they have got experience playing against these big countries.
Japan.
They did not have such bad results. You know, they only lost by very slim margins, and they still have the
4-0's a bit of a walloping.
Just one result, but Korea they lost 1-0. I think Japan it was 2-0. Saudi they lost just by a single goal. So they're still very strong, and they're going to be head and shoulders, I feel, above the other countries in Southeast Asia, simply because they've had a core squad for quite some time now. They've had experience playing against these bigger countries, and they've got a very fluid system about them.
I've got the joy of commentating on Thailand versus Australia in next week's World Cup qualifier, so I'll have a close look at the Thais. But coming into the Suzuki Cup, I think going before the World Cup, I thought, of course they'll win it. But these defeats will just nag at them, I suspect, and I don't think they're going to be completely at home. Indonesia, real surprise packet. Not only did they beat Malaysia 3-0 when they came back, but they've had a couple of decent games against Vietnam. They held them to 3-2. Indonesia have got the ISL going, which is a competitive league again. The passion for football is huge, so that's not a gimme beater for Thailand. Philippines definitely will challenge.
They're on the home patch.
They also got very good warm-up. You know, they played North Korea this year.
Kyrgyzstan they beat last night.
They beat Kyrgyzstan. They played Uzbekistan as well. So they've got some solid warm-up matches ahead of the AFF Cup, and it will tell when they play against Southeast Asian teams.
Good group that.
Okay. In Group B, it's hosts Myanmar, so it's all based in Myanmar. It's got Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia. Opens up with the Malaysia versus Cambodia tie. Most of us have seen the squad of 26 that Ong Kim Swee. He's got to shred 3 more players from that. Do we think that's good enough? Is it a strong squad?
If you compare this squad to the 2014 squad, then definitely it's not the same level playing field. We are coming in with an understrength squad, a squad short of our best players, with a lot of interference and no proper backing from the national body. This is what's going on in the national team, but credit to Ong. I'm there for trainings almost every day. I see him putting in a good shift with his players, solid training.
Do they respond to him?
They respond to him. Both the players look at ease with each other. There is no camps between them. They're all at ease with each other. They have had 2 training sessions for most part of the 2 weeks, morning 8 o'clock and 3 p.m. So the intensity is there. Training sessions have also been shifted to 3 p.m. to acclimatize to the playing time in Yangon. So preparations are looking good. I just don't know if the players would be able to sync in time for the...
Well, they've even got drones working for them, I understand, as well. So, no holds barred.
That's a great insight, Nick, by the way, because he is there watching what's going on day in, day out.
And you're mentioning that he's not getting the full backing.
He mentioned he's not getting the full backing. I think he's got to get rid of the politics. This is the team that he's got to play with. These are the 26 players that he's got to select. He needs to look at their work ethic, their attitude, their aptitude. My real issue, well, there's 2 issues with the squad. Defensively, I think the 2 centre-backs, whoever he picks, even if Sharon comes in, if Fadli gets a start, you don't know who his 2 best centre-backs are. Personally, I'm a big fan of Fadli Shas, but he's not been playing.
He's not been played.
No.
And something has happened with his development. I think a big, strong man and should be there. But you look at the centre-backs, you go, oh gosh, is that strong enough? The loss of Brendan Gant through injury is really going to hurt, because Badrol doesn't do that same kind of job. And I'm not sure if Irfan Fazale can do it, or I'm not sure if anyone can do it. And then scoring goals, it looks lightweight. No Sharrell, I think.
Safi Salih, you're relying on.
Sharrell might be motivated because he's had a career where everything's gone his way, and then.
But the goals have dried up, though.
Yeah, but
I understand. Had a bad season.
He's looking fitter. He's lost some pounds.
He's got some understanding going on with Safi Salih.
Yeah.
Who's absolutely sharp in training.
Yeah.
Hats off to Safi Salih. Hardly played. I think barely 5 or 6.
It's the beard, isn't it? It's the beard.
The beard. He hasn't lost any of that intensity.
Yeah.
I watched him in training the other day. They had 11 on 11, and he had his back to goal with 2 defenders blocking him. He got the ball, just 1 swivel and a shot to the top corner. That's the Safi Salih we knew from 2012, even 2004.
Well,
let's hope to see him in 2016.
Absolutely. Let's hope we see him turn up in Myanmar. Well, Nicolas Anil caught up with Pahang right back Matt Davies during one of those training sessions in the week.
Matt, this would be your second major tournament for the country after the SEA Games, right?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Second major tournament, but probably my first major full-age tournament.
Right.
So it's really exciting and really happy to be involved once again. Yeah.
Okay. What have you learned from the SEA Games? Because you came in, I think, not too long before the tournament had taken place, and then immediately got drafted into the squad. What would you say you have learned from that coming into this senior tournament?
I think I learned a lot about the style of football around Southeast Asia.
Okay.
I definitely have a bit more experience in terms of the way that other nations like to play and what the standard of competition is like. It also was good to see at the time how much Malaysia followed along with the SEA Games. I expected to be the same for AFF, so that was good to see also.
Okay. Do you think playing for Pahang, being embroiled in the relegation battle, has matured you as a player?
Yeah, definitely. It was a contrasting season to my first season with Pahang. It was very difficult, but like you said, it's maybe matured me as a player, and I think I've come out on the other end a little bit stronger. And although it was a difficult season, now I can look back at it and say, yeah, I enjoyed the experience, but maybe at the time I wasn't enjoying it so much.
Okay. And just coming to the current national training, first session at 3 p.m. today, how do you guys acclimatize to the heat and just the weather conditions?
It's not easy. It's not easy to train and to play at 3 p.m. Having said that, the other team's going to have to do the same thing anyway, so hopefully it doesn't affect the standard of football too much, and we're all used to it by the time the games come around.
Right. And with Rizal in the squad, there is quite a healthy competition at right back. How do you see yourself faring up against him?
Yeah, like you said, it's a healthy competition. I think we both have our own individual strengths, and I think we're both capable of playing the position, so we're both pushing each other hard in training and working and trying to impress the coach and both trying to nail down the starting position.
Okay. You weren't in the squad when we went to the Australia for the Oceania tour?
I was named in the squad and pulled out injured.
You were injured, okay. But just coming up against Papua New Guinea, what do you think of them, having played in that region as well?
I they're surprisingly tough. I mean, I asked Brendan about them recently, and he said very physical and quite good technically as well. So I don't know. It's not something I didn't expect them to be a good footballing nation, but apparently, and going based on the result we got last time, I think it's going to be difficult to play them again.
Okay. And we are giving out free tickets for the game. Are you hoping the fans turn up in numbers, even though the game's at 3 p.m.
Yeah, it's
midday?
Like, you know, it's on a weekday and at 3 p.m. Hopefully, if you have the day off, if you're able to come, if you can ask the boss for 2 hours off work, then to come down and support us, that'd be great. Just before we head off to AFF. Yeah.
Nice. Cheers, man.
He's come a long way now, and he's more or less made that right back role his own.
Rizal Ghazali will have something to say about that, because I saw Rizal's debut against Singapore in the 0-0, where after a nervy first 5 or 10 minutes, he looked very good, and Rizal has come in at in the Malaysia Cup Final and performed. I think Matty Davis has done enough to start there, but he now knows he's under pressure, and that's what you want. That's good throughout the team. If there's 2 players in every position, you know you've got to perform. But Matty Davis has been really good, both for Pahang, because it's a really difficult situation he came into. They lost all their star names, they lost the imports, they lost the internationals. Poor old Matty's there. What the heck have I walked into at the start of the season?
And as a captain, in his debut, he has done so well. He scored so many crucial goals, which took Pahang out of the relegation zone heading into the final game of the season. And that level of maturity he has. He's playing light years beyond his age. He's only 21.
And he's been sought out by other clubs. He's actually stayed loyal to Pahang, I understand, as well, which is refreshing to see.
Left to be seen.
Yes,
yeah.
He hasn't signed yet, but credit to Matt Davis. He's really come through on.
Before Matt Davis, we were singing the praises of Mahali Jazuli in that position, and he's gone to JDT. He's become a squad substitute.
We were entertained by Mahali Jazuli because he's a wing back. I've got this theory about Malaysian football. I think Malaysian football should have led English Premier League football and play 3-4-3, because the likes of Mahali, he's not an out-and-out defender. He's a wing back, and so's Kunalan, and so's Azrif, and so's so many players down the left-hand side. Fazli as well, and Fadli Shas as a central defender would be so much better if he was covered by a sweeper behind him, because you know Fadli will make a mistake, but you also know that he'll win more balls than anything. And I just wish, and I'm hearing Frank Bernard is trying it in the under 22s to play 3-4-3 at the back. It's too late for the Suzuki Cup.
But
I've always thought that this is a system that just suits Malaysian players to an absolute team.
You might have
especially if you have players like Kunalan.
Exactly.
Mahali doesn't track back as often, but if you get him to track back, then he will do a wonderful job.
Indeed.
Just to back up the.
Des might have sorted out our future system.
He hasn't. I'm not a coach. And when it goes wrong, I mean, nothing to do with me. But it just always struck me as reasonable.
Okay, Malaysia play Papua New Guinea on November the 14th. It's a friendly, free, open for everybody.
And 3 o'clock kickoff, just to acclimatise, as you were saying, acclimatise them to the start time when they play up in Yangon. So I think that's sensible. We haven't talked about Cambodia yet. They are a potential danger because they've developed a young team. It's a very, very young team. But they've produced some decent results. They beat Singapore for one. They've won the tournament in Cambodia, where they beat Laos and were comfortable victors. They also play a 3-4-3 at the back that I was just talking about. They're very fluid, very young, pretty fearless, couple of superstar players. If Malaysia go there thinking, we don't worry about Cambodia, we've got to worry about Myanmar, we've got to worry about Vietnam. It could well really hurt them, because Cambodia, like the other group, they've worked hard and they've developed over the last 2 or 3 years.
And already got a result against us. We drew against them in March in a friendly. They've obviously had good preparation, even though they've played Southeast Asian teams, and I think they're going to be coming into this tournament with the confidence of winning that qualifiers, because you had Laos, which could have been underdogs, Timor-Leste as well. They can play a very good game on their day, but Cambodia came up really deserving winners.
And Vietnam, we know, they're a danger. They've got attacking potential. It's a tougher group, this one, Group B.
It's a really tough group, because I look at Myanmar. And Myanmar have just been on a European tour where they were playing decent club sides and have come away with victories. One of my favourite players was Kyako Ko. he's suddenly been omitted from the squad for disciplinary problems because the coach is saying, you're not putting enough work in, I want my players to work.
And he's the superstar striker.
He's a superstar striker. They have got Kyalin.
Yeah.
I love this kid. He's only 5'4", but he's played in Thailand once. I think he's back in Myanmar now. But this is a kid who is a danger to any team. And the good thing for Malaysia is they're playing them third, because Myanmar go 1,000 miles an hour for 70 minutes, and then they'll do it again in the second match, and then in the third match Malaysia might just be able to match them.
So, who's your money on, Nick, to lift the Suzuki Cup?
Thailand, simply because of their experience, their achievements in the Suzuki Cup, winning it 4 times. A very good coach in Zico who knows who his players are and what he can get out of them. Apart from that, I think Indonesia could be a dark horse. They're just coming off a 1-year ban. And
hungry.
They're hungry. They've got passionate support. They've got players which have been picked from all over the league. So this is a very vibrant side who will have a lot to prove in the AFF Cup.
For you, Des, is the winner going to come from Group B or Group A?
An absolute upset for me. I think Philippines are going to have enough power. I think Philippines may well cause a major upset if they can get through the group, which is a tough group. They'll then have potential home advantage, in one leg of each game, and I think that'll be enough. Philippines as a rank outsider for this one. Probably Thailand. The heart says Thailand. Sorry, the head says Thailand. But
it's just hard to see past Thailand at the moment. They're definitely the force of our region.
What I do think, though, I think this is going to be the best football Suzuki Cup that we've had, because it's competitive. Cambodia and Myanmar are decent sides. All 4 sides in the other group, in Group A, are decent sides. So you get a lot of stick if you go out in the group phases, but it's going to be a very difficult group phase to get out.
Well, let's hope Ong Kim Swee returns with a smile on his face. We're done. We're out of time. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Many thanks to Dez Corkhill.
Absolute pleasure. Keep watching Malaysian sport. Keep watching local sport. It's where it's at.
And many thanks to Nicolas Anil as well.
See you guys next season. Have a good one.
Yep, we're done for this season. We're back in January. So until then, bye.
Follow us on Facebook and tune in next week for more Malaysian Football Weekly on AllSportsAsia.